think I played against Max before. Max is a very, very strong young Dutch player. And I think last time I played the Apeldoorn. So now I have to think if I want to repeat that or if I want to go for something else. And given that he's probably quite strong in theory, I will go for something else. Let me just go for knight c6 and knight f6 for the good old Berlin. And Max goes for the line with d3. So I will play bishop c5, which is, I think, a normal move. And he blitzes out his moves, as was to be expected anyhow. So I think I saw some line like this played by Ding. Knight d7 and then c3 and h6, if I'm not mistaken. Because otherwise white is going to go bishop g5 at some point, and I think if you play h6 you can prevent that. Maybe Max is not familiar with this exact line, so I think just try it once. I'm not sure if I should have taken first. Maybe I should have taken first, because now I can maybe take twice and go f4. No, but I think it's fine the way I played it. So if he takes, I will just take back. Knight takes, bishop takes on d8 twice, f4, bishop d6, bishop e3, and it's something like f6, and it's a playable position. So he goes for something else. He goes for knight d2, which is much more quiet, obviously. And he probably intends to go knight c4 next. Yes, as I said, Max is a very strong and young, promising Dutch player. I think he was the second of Johan van Foreest when Van Foreest won in Weikernsee. So also seems to be quite active despite the pandemic at the moment. Let's go back to the position. Maybe I should castle and then queen e7. I'm not sure. I mean, I have not really played this kind of positions that much, but I have the feeling it's maybe also not necessarily his style, because usually the younger players are more or stronger in open positions and tactically very strong. But we'll see. So he goes with knight c4. Yeah, now I have two options. The first one is to take on d4, and the other one is to somehow protect e5, which probably means queen e7. So queen e7, and if he takes a couple of times, it's probably not too bad. So I will just go for queen e7, I think. Yeah, I think it should be fine. If he takes, I will just take back. It should be okay. And otherwise, I mean, I'm threatening he takes d, so probably he would have to go rook e1 if he doesn't want to take. But I think taking is a decent option for him as well. So after taking, probably white is slightly better, but it's not so much, I guess. Yeah, so let's see what he comes up with. As I said, I'm threatening e takes d, and I'm maybe also threatening queen e6. So if he goes rook d1, maybe I can just go queen e6 and kind of force him to a committal move in the center. Because the only downside of this position is really that the bishop on c8 is kind of not doing that much. So wouldn't be too surprised to see him take on. Okay, so he goes to rook e1. Yeah, he probably wants to keep the tension. Maybe he thinks an older guy like me is not too good in these more concrete positions, which might be true or might not be true. I don't know. Could take now on d4, but then probably he will just go knight d6, I would guess. It's not the end of the world, but it's not necessarily what I want either. So queen e6 is another move, as I said, which makes a decent amount of sense. He plays quite quickly so far, but I don't think this means that he's done theory in any by any stretch. I should turn off Dropbox, because otherwise it will annoy me not right now. Quit. Okay. So let's see. Queen e6, d5, takes, and queen g6. That should be okay. e5 is slightly weak, so yeah, maybe I will go for this. I think it should not be too bad. He will probably not take on d6. I'll just take back. Or he will go e5. So that could be a stronger move. Okay, he just takes back. I thought then I could go bishop b4, but maybe it's not really bothering him at all. Or I could go knight b6 and then just c takes. In case he takes. In bishop b4, I'm kind of giving up the pair of bishops. Not sure if I want to do that, but I think it's probably fine. Just bishop b4 followed by knight b6. He will play bishop d2, I think. I mean, okay, so this bishop is not the strongest piece on earth, but I think still that you should probably exchange it. If he goes rook e2 or rook e3, it will not change that much. I will just go knight b6 anyhow. Tiny bit worried that knight b6 might run into knight e5. But in the worst case, I would just go back and then exchange on e5. That should not be too bad for me. I think it's slightly better for him, though. I mean, the position in general, he has some slight space advantage. But I'm fine with this. So out of the opening against these young and super well prepared players, with black, I'm fine if I get a slightly worse position and can just play a normal game. Right now I'm also catching up on time. That's good to see. And I suspect he's pondering something like rook e3, but honestly I don't like this move too much for him. I mean, as I said, I just have this knight b6. Oh, I don't have arrows. So just have this knight b6 next, and that should be okay. Could go, for instance, rook e3, knight b6, maybe b3. Bit of a strange move. And then bishop g4 should be also fine. So I mean, these two pawns in the center, e4 and d4, seem to be pretty strong at first glance, but I'm not sure if it's always the case. So I mean, they could also become weak at some point. If I manage to get my rooks to d8 and e8 later on, and never really can play d5 that easily because I can just take. So they could also potentially be weaker than they look right now. Yeah. So still trying to make sense of this h6 stuff that Ding played. I think it's a very useful move in these positions just because of this bishop g5, which would be very annoying to parry. Could just go with some queen move. So the h6 is really quite a nice move to have here. Okay, so it seems that he's taking his time right now. A little bit unexpected point in time for me to see that. I'm not so sure what he's thinking about. Maybe some concrete lines. But yeah, I feel like I have knight b6 and after knight to e5 I could just go back at least. Okay, so let's see. Always somewhat uncertain in these slower games if your connection is causing problems, but mine is usually quite stable. So let's hope it's not that. But it gets a bit long now. So let me just check by opening up some other side. Yeah, it's still working. Okay, so my connection should be fine. But it's pretty weird for him to take like 4 minutes at this point. I hope that his connection is also fine. So it would be really a pity if if this could be a disconnect or something. No, it's just bishop d2. He just took a lot of time for this. Yeah, so I think I want to go knight b6. That's what I said before, and I will stick to my guns, just play knight b6. And if he takes, I will of course check a takes b. And the position is probably still around equal. So yeah, okay, he goes for this knight e5, which I discussed earlier. Where maybe it's best for me to just go back to d7. Because in principle this knight is the superfluous knight. So this is the typical concept in many positions, that you have maybe one piece which is not really happy, and in my case this is this knight on b6, and I can't kick this knight with f6 because of knight g6, so I think I will just withdraw this superfluous knight to d7 and see if he what his intentions are. Okay, he just goes back to d3, that's fine, then I will just take. And now decide how to continue. Still my bishop is a little bit of a problem. Maybe knight back to b6, knight to f6. Or I go for something like rook d8, knight f8, which looks decent. Maybe rook d8, knight f8, or rook e8, knight f8. Maybe rook e8, knight f8. That's somewhat of a slow game. So I think it's okay if I spend some more moves on regrouping my pieces, because he's also not doing that much. I mean, he's enjoying a bit of a space advantage, but at the same time he will never really play d5 or e5, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, probably his idea is if I go bishop d7 to play knight c5, trying to provoke b6. Yeah, I could go bishop e6, hinting at this option of taking on a2, but then maybe d5 is indeed an option. So we'll be a bit more cautious here. Or does he want to play d5 anyhow? That looks pretty strange. I think I always have just knight bishop d7, so I will go for knight g6, improving my knight. Knight has now a pretty nice square, hinting at f4 or h4. So my position is still slightly cramped, but I feel like in the long run, as I said, d4 could also become a weakness. So I think maybe it's very slightly better for white, or almost equal. Okay, he goes for d5. I thought this would not be the preferred option here, but apparently I was wrong. So let's see. Somewhat surprised, but it's probably quite concrete. So if I can't really take, because then he takes on e8 and takes on c7. And I guess that could be good for white. Even there, I mean, after queen d8, I'm not 100% sure. The other move is bishop d7, and then planning to take. And if something like knight c5, I can still take on d5. Looks better to me. Or does he want to take? Maybe he wants to take. I will still play bishop d7. Probably wants to take and go for something like knight d4. Okay, he plays this move, which is again a bit unexpected. unexpected, but maybe good. Okay, if I go for b6, he can just take and take on c6, so that's not an option. Just rook b8 could be a move. Then he takes on d7 and takes on c6. I take back on d2 and take on c6. Yeah, that's better for him for sure. Could also take on d5, which would make things very complicated. I think that's what I'll do. He will go for ed, and then I go queen d6, knight b7, queen f6. With the hope of playing bishop h3 next. I mean, now at least I have some counterplay, but maybe objectively this was not the best continuation for me. Yeah, queen d4. Now I could take. Could take on e1. Probably will have to take on e1. And go queen b6 afterwards. It's not threatening that much though. Okay. Probably will have to take on e1. And then c. Okay, now I could take rook b8, knight c5. This is unfortunately what I missed. And similarly, after queen b6, he also has knight c5. So knight c5 is the annoying move here. Yeah, that is indeed bad for me. Unfortunate. Takes a knight f4 maybe. Let me go for this. Okay, after rook e7, bishop e8, he can take on c7 and he's a full pawn up. That's the only downside of what I did. Or after rook e7, I could also play bishop c8, but it looks very strange. Then he has knight c5, knight d5 check. Yeah, I'm not sure. Could be an idea. I don't have any threats against the back rank, unfortunately, so that's restricting my options a bit. So I think rook e7 is pretty much forced, or he plays knight c5. But then I have bishop e8, I think, so that should be okay. Knight c5, bishop e8, rook e5, rook d8, that should be fine. Maybe knight c6 there, yeah, it's not so clear either. So my position is bad, that's for sure. But time is not ticking, so it's gonna be a time scramble anyhow. Yeah, and he goes for rook e7. And now the question is if I want to play bishop c8 or bishop e8. And I think I will decide for bishop e8, which just looks more sound to me. Because probably now he has to take, and then I take on d5, and okay, I'm a pawn down, but I have some counterplay with rook b8 and so on, so it's not, definitely not yet game over. Okay. Can go for d6. Yeah, I missed that as well. I'm missing too many things. King f8 immediately runs into rook e4, so I probably have to take first. Play king f8 then. And pray that this endgame is not as bad as it looks. Yeah, the knight endgame should be lost, but it's still tricky, I would hope. Unless my pawn falls immediately, which is possible. But it will still be not so easy. But I think it should be winning for him if he takes. I know he's really taking his time. Now the problem is that the knight endgame is lost. This is... Okay, he doesn't go for it. Instead he goes for something completely different. And if I now go for g6, what's his idea? We'll see, I guess. And if he takes twice on e8, thought I have knight d3, which could be moderately annoying. I even have f5, which I didn't see. But he has knight d6 check. Oh, this is bad. This is a very strong move, which I missed. Knight d6 check, because I have to defend f7. Yeah, knight d6 check is annoying. I have to play king f8, which is really not what I want. The problem is after knight d6 check, king e7. And after this he just goes knight c4, I would guess. Yeah, knight on c4. Okay, so I will play a6. Keep this 3 square distance to the knight. It's also... No, I will go for this. Maybe just king e7. And handing after king e2 check and taking a2. Knight is slightly awkward on b7 now. Could potentially run with a king, but whoever runs first probably is in some kind of trouble. It's almost a Zugzwang position, it's bizarre enough. So maybe a3 is a good move. And the point is after king d7 he has king e2 and then probably just runs, and I run as well. But otherwise he will play b4, which is even worse. So I guess I would have to run right now. Okay, he even retreats. We run. Check here, and not entirely sure where I should go. g5 is weakening a lot of squares. 96. Maybe 96. King e4 f5, so that's the idea. Now it will really come down to time scrambles here. I will probably talk a bit less now because it's really very tense. Knight d4, king d3, just go f5. Try to pretend that I have something here. It's just annoying for him, it's not really doing that much. Okay, can I organize a pawn break somehow? He wants 93. I will not allow that. That much I know. So how does my knight come to e5 on the best way? Guess this route. No! Okay. It's Zugzwang. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's Zugzwang. Pawn ending is completely lost. Oh no, it's a check now. Yeah, so it's worthless if even. Yeah, okay, I can resign. Yeah, he played it well. So what can I say? And I will serve with my usual serve, knight f3, and let's see what he has in mind. Is he already at the computer? Yes, he is. So let's go for knight f3 and c4, which I virtually almost always do. And go for the King's Indian. If he goes for the King's Indian, I'm just going to take this one off. This is the method of annoying all King's Indian players. It's not the most fun continuation, maybe, if you like excitement, but it's one which has more venom than people think, and which is usually quite difficult for Black to play for a win. But I also won many games in this line with White, so it's not an opening which you play entirely just to make a draw. Even though I remember some games, for instance, against Bologan, where he, at the end, told me that I was just playing for a draw, but I just always play this opening, so it's just lack of knowledge of anything else. So c6. c6, I think this is takes, and then rook d1, right? This is my line. So rook e8 now, and then rook d1. Point is, if he takes rook takes e5, I have rook d8 check. And then after rook e8, I have bishop takes f6, intermediate move. And this is winning for White, I think. So he has to play something else. He has to play knight a6, I think, is the main move here. And I think h6 is also playable, but I think not the best in this position. But I played a game like this already once in the Belgian league against a Dutch player, and he went for knight a6. So I think it's absolutely a reasonable move here. Let's see what Max comes up with. It seems that he's not prepared for this line, which is good news, because instead of rook d1, most people play long castles. I'm not exactly sure on the subtle differences here, but long castles obviously has the same idea. So if Black takes on e5, you can go rook d8 check, and it's working out tactically. Yeah, the other line is, of course, after rook d8 check, knight e8, you can take on c8, and then you're completely crumbed with these two pieces here. So for that reason, you usually play knight a6 here. I think recently somebody played h6 against me though, so let me just think what to do against h6. I forgot it a little bit. Yeah, I also played this exact position against Grishuk, who I think played knight a6, and then after knight f3 he played some... I think then he played h6, which is not the best, so I think you're supposed to go for knight c5 here. And then white has several options. You can go for e5, and you can also go for knight d2. And I remember I analyzed all of this when I was around 18, 19. And it's not much, that's clear. So e5 or knight d2. Let me go for knight d2. Because now I'm still threatening that if he takes twice, then I have rook d8 check, I think. So that's, I think, where you should play h6 in this position. And then after bishop e3, you can take something like this. I think this was the line. But I always forget. Let's see. I think there is some line which is not working for black, and this is takes on e4 twice, and then rook takes e2 check or something. Yeah, so h6 is the correct move as far as I remember. And now I just go for bishop e3. Always trying to remember the line. I have a terrible memory for that. I think it's bishop e3, and now you take. Yeah, now you take a couple of times on e4. And then you play rook d2. I think this was the game which I played against this other Dutch guy in the league. But just on the spot now, I'm wondering why rook d8 is bad. Not entirely clear to me here. Or it's just rook d8 checking h7 and then rook d2. I don't know. I will probably not have the time to really carefully think about it. The point is, he can always kick me out with bishop f6, so I think it's just a question if I want to play rook d8, which would bring the king to h7, or whether I would prefer the king to stay on g8. And I guess the answer... Yeah, the answer is not entirely clear. So how was this? Could also go for b3. Sometimes runs a bit into a5 though. Or maybe I should do that. Just go for b3. The alternative could be rook d2 here. Rook d2, bishop e6, and then I have the same problem again. And then maybe rook c2. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will just play b3. Not sure if this is the right move, because as I said, it runs into a5, but I think it's probably fine, because I'm still kind of threatening rook d8, and it will take him a few moves to be really effective there. Should probably go for castles and then rook d8 check. I'll just go for castles. He can of course always play rook e8, but then game is even slower, so I think he doesn't want that. He goes for a4. Check and bishop f3. I think I'll go for this. Check and either bishop f3 or bishop d3. Bishop f3, rook e6. It's kind of tight what he's doing there. Bishop d3, rook e6 is nothing, so I think I should go for bishop f3. Try to find out where this rook wants to go in the future, because e6 is not the ideal square for the rook. Maybe it's not a big problem, because okay, so he goes to e5. And now I could play bishop d4 to exchange a pair of bishops, which I think should be decent for me. Just do that. Maybe he has to go for rook e7 now. Preparing rook d7. And then I might just at some point just take on a4. But it's never really what you want to do. So maybe I will just take on g7. Okay, he plays rook a5. This is a really weird move. I think it's a bad move, to be honest. So it allows me to play b4 voluntarily, which anyhow I wanted to play. What does he want to do after b4 even? Does he want to take on d4? Really? So I could even take on g7 first, which also looks good. Or does he want to take on d4? Then I will play just b takes a. And c5, a6 doesn't work. No, I think I can just do this. And, oh, devilish. Of course I missed everything. This is bad. Damn it. Completely missed that move. I like 100% miss. Okay, it's attacking a lot of things at the same time. Take on a8 and then go rook c1. Yeah, but this reverses things. So if I had known that this is the idea, probably I would have played differently. I could even take and go bishop f6, but then he has rook a to a8. Take and rook c1. Or bishop d or rook d6. Rook d6. bishop c4, I can take on a5, so that should not work. So probably he has to take on d4 and then c5. Or after rook d6, bishop d4, if b takes a. Yeah, I don't know. Gets a bit complicated. Rook d6, bishop c4. Yeah, but rook d6 takes. Okay, I will go for rook d6. Bishop d4, b takes a. If bishop c5, at least I have rook e6 and rook b1, which should be better for white. So I think that should be okay. Bishop c5 is the same. So I think after bishop d4 I can go to b takes a. But I mean, what a creative move. I am okay. Now he plays rook a6. He threatens bishop f8, so I think I have to take here. And now I will probably just play rook c1. Or can I go b5? B5 takes. I'll just play rook c1. Okay, b5 takes a6. Rook a6, bishop b7. Rook b6. Okay, this does not seem to work. Does he threaten anything? Rook a4 maybe, so maybe I should just play bishop d1 and bishop d3. But then he has rook b6. But I have always b5. b5, cb, rook a6, rook a6, cb, rook b6. Yeah, this is not working for me. Bishop b7, rook b6. This is also not working. Okay. Rook a4, rook b1, bishop f5, rook b3, bishop c2, rook c3. That's what I calculated, but it doesn't work because of bishop b1. Alright, so after rook a4 probably I have to play b5 then. But then you can just take. Okay, I have to go for this. And worst case, I mean, I have to play bishop d3 after bishop f5. Nothing else works. I'm still threatening to kick this guy away with bishop d1. a3 is surprisingly annoying. King e7, f4 should not be a big problem. King f6, f4. I will go back to d2. because I want to protect a2 with the rook, to also not give him any. Okay, just 2 minutes left, so again I will be more quiet. King e7, rook d2, rook d8, takes. That should be. Should probably be playable. Bishop d1 and then bishop b3, right? Bishop f5, rook a4, then bishop b3. I'm in the center, he's in the center, I get c5. Okay, that's not what's gonna happen. Okay, c5 is coming next probably. Or king to the center first. Does he want to play c5? Maybe. Probably have to take if he plays c5, so I'll just pre-move this anyhow. Sometimes also showing some understanding and impressing the opponent with the fact that you already preempted his move. Okay, c5. Yeah, okay, I think I will take. It's now the king just running to c5. Is b5 a move here? If b5 is a move, maybe I blundered badly here. b5 could be very strong. Okay, he doesn't go for that, he goes for some other move instead. Which also seems pretty strong. Maybe f3. f3 looks really bad. Go here. Now he will take on c4, but then I can still take. Okay, now he might threaten to take on c4. Just go for rook d7. How about this? Yeah, I was not sure how I should judge this. If I take. He still has these stupid b5 ideas. It's so annoying. Bishop f5, c5 maybe. What a bad way to end the game. e7. I think there's nothing I can do about this. It's just completely over. Oh, he played really well, I think. So it's disappointing, but I can't really do much. Is there no way to fight on? Take and take b3 and there's nothing I can do? Yeah. Too old and too slow. knight just b5, king b2 and so on. It's just completely lost. It's just playing around, I guess. Ah, he wants rook a4. Okay, that's a beautiful finish. So let me just resign. Okay, recollect myself before the next game.